Fox News alert, the Epstein scandal's rocking Chappaqua. Today, Hillary went under oath and was grilled about the Clintons' relationship with the dead pedophile. She testified behind closed doors, but the deposition was being recorded. At any minute, we could get the tapes. When it wrapped, Hillary came out and said this.
I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices. So it's on the record numerous times.
An hour into her testimony, it went off the rails. A photo of Hillary was leaked from inside. All hell broke loose, and Crooked's team stormed out.
The hearing just went off the record for a moment. Because it seems, as some of you may have seen, that there were some photographs shared on social media, which is against chamber rules, that were read at the top of the meeting. So the hearing has been paused briefly while they figure out where the photo came from.
Congresswoman Lauren Boebert texted the pic to the press, and Hillary complained it was against the rules. I don't think she liked how she looked.
We had a bit of a challenge in the beginning because we had agreed upon rules based on the fact it was going to be a closed hearing at their demand, and one of the members violated that rule, which was very upsetting because it suggested that they might violate other of our agreements.
Hillary made a fuss to chew up clock because she didn't want to be there. She testified that she never met Epstein, even though he'd been to the White House 16 times. It was supposed to be a co-presidency, remember? A 2-for-1 deal. Hillary moved her office into the West Wing. But Hillary doesn't remember.
The number of times that she said, "I don't know, you'll have to ask my husband," was more than a dozen, and I'll put it like that.
Maybe they didn't meet, maybe they did, but Bill does a lot of things when Hillary's not looking. But this email's interesting. In the Epstein files, someone emailed the sex offender, quote, "I know you are close with Hillary, but if she gets the nomination and you vote for her, I'll effing kill you." Did Hillary meet Epstein? Maybe, maybe not. But we do know this.
I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance, but whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond.
Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine, went to Chelsea Clinton's wedding. When she was asked about this, she ran like the wind.
Can I ask, why was Ghislaine Maxwell invited to Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2010? She'd already been mentioned in a civil lawsuit by Virginia Giuffre before that. Jeffrey Epstein had already been convicted.
She came as the +1, the guest of someone who was invited.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
We do know who did spend a lot of time with Epstein, Bill Clinton. There's dozens of photos in the files. Here's Bubba and a girl in a hot tub. Hillary says her hubby was just saving lives.
It wasn't a hot tub on a plane. It was one of the stops they made to look at philanthropic and charitable work that my husband has done, saving literally millions of lives around the world. It turned out that was done long before there was any public awareness and certainly any conviction of any crime by Jeffrey Epstein. So it was a short period of time that was in pursuit of charitable philanthropic work.
Charitable work. That's a new name for it. Here's Bill doing more charity. We all know how much Bill loves to give back. The former president will have his chance to set the record straight tomorrow when he goes under oath, but we all know how he got the name Slick Willie.
Is that correct? Yeah, it depends upon what the meaning of the word is. Yes.
Hillary says she's not worried. Bill would never do something inappropriate.
Are you 100% confident that there isn't anything that the former president knows about Epstein's crimes?
I am, and I think the chronology of the connection that he had with Epstein ended several years before anything about Epstein's criminal activities came to light.
If anybody thinks this is some partisan witch hunt, or as the Clintons call it, a vast right-wing conspiracy, you're wrong.
I think one thing that surprised the Clintons, they assumed the Democrats on the committee would vote in a partisan manner and not vote to hold the Clintons in contempt. And what they learned was a majority of the Democrats on the committee either voted to hold the Clintons in contempt or voted present.
The Epstein fallout has Clinton and Obama operatives dropping like flies. Yesterday, Larry Summers had to resign from his position at Harvard. And now it's come out that not only did the Ivy League take $9 million from the perv, they gave him his own office. And Harvard faculty was accepting free flights and business deals from the sex trafficker. Epstein was giving Larry Summers consulting gigs in places like Mongolia and Kazakhstan. Like we've been saying, it's going global. The head of the World Economic Forum, you know, the guys who tell us to eat insects, Borge Brende, suddenly resigned because of the Epstein files. One of the Rothschilds, you know, the European banking dynasty, all over the Epstein files. And the Swiss bankers, all they're saying so far is they're monitoring the situation. J.B. Pritzker's cousin, Thomas, just resigned from the board of Hyatt Hotels. JB's like, I only see my cousin on holidays.
A cousin of yours has been in the news with regards to the Epstein files, Thomas Pritzker. He just recently resigned from the board of the Hyatt company.
Look, I've said from the beginning that anyone that's done something wrong needs to be held accountable, and I really mean anyone. Now, I'm not close to my cousin, but I can tell you that it's very important that people be held to pay the price for whatever it is that they may have done.
There are millions of documents in the Epstein files, and we're just starting to go through them. Everyone's on edge, even Epstein's own brother.
I didn't see him for 7 years before he died, although we were always in communication with phones and emails. So I didn't know what he was up to. A lot of the stuff that's come out is surprising to me. I wasn't aware of a lot of this stuff. And I'm going to say, like, with him, even though he's my brother, that was his problem. And now that he's dead, it's not his problem anymore. So, again, unfortunately, I really don't care, to be honest with you. I'm just concerned that my brother, whoever and whatever he was murdered. That's my concern.
But you care about the victims, I presume, of your brother.
These are the questions I don't get into. So have a good day.
The Telegraph also reports that Epstein paid private detectives to remove items from his Florida property ahead of a police raid. They hid it in a secret storage locker, which contained 3 computers, videotapes, sex slave manuals, and illicit photographs. A Palm Beach lockup contained 29 address books, a 3-page list of masseuses, and tons of porn. The Palm Beach police chief said Epstein's home had been cleaned up and certain computer material was missing, including surveillance equipment. We also found out last night that the DOJ had labeled Epstein's suicide as a murder in some documents. There were also questions about the noose.
The forensic pathologist who was hired by Jeffrey Epstein's brother to observe the autopsy said that there was no blood on the noose, even though there's blood on Jeffrey Epstein's neck in the photographs. We're learning from the documents that the guard who cut Jeffrey Epstein down says he's not sure which noose was given to the investigators, and DNA testing was done. It may have been on the wrong ligature. It may have been done on the wrong noose.
Plus, there was something off about the head count in the prison that night. A new video shows a strange orange figure flashing by the corner of a surveillance camera the night before Epstein died.
There's been scrutiny of a particular moment on the cell block surveillance footage where an orange-looking flash could be seen at 10:39 p.m. A report from the Justice Department Inspector General notes the flash, quote, it is possible someone is carrying inmate linen or bedding up the stairs. And the final report refers to it as, quote, an unidentified corrections officer. But now, newly released Justice Department documents reveal an initial FBI review of surveillance video on the cell block says the flash could possibly be an inmate. And independent video analysts consulted by CBS News say the movement was more consistent with an inmate.
This is really getting mysterious, and I'm sure Bill Clinton will clear everything up tomorrow. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.